This is ridiculous.
Miles Edward O'Brien.
Miles.
Yes, hello and good evening. It is Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, and Valentine's Day may be 2 weeks away, but we can feel the love here tonight on Live Long and Podcast as we are kicking it off here on Deep Space Nine at 9ish, as we do every Tuesday, covering the next episode of Deep Space Nine. We are up to Season 5, Episode 3, looking for Parmak in all the wrong places, which debuted in 1996. I'm Dave Mader. I'm not normally the host of this podcast. It's normally Jeff, and I usually get to sit back and relax, but he's missing in action. We are sending out a runabout to look for him. And we'll get a report back. He might be with the Prophets. It's unclear, but we got a whole crew here to break this down. Not all of us are here, but some of us, and we got Jaemeel Robinson. How you doing tonight, Jaemeel?
Doing well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dave, for being here. It's great to see a host really take the reins, right? And make sure that our ship sails smoothly.
Or we keep the station running, as it is. And, we from the Bajoran workers, we got one half of them here tonight as the other has to work, of course. We got Kevin Millard with us. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing excellent.
That's good. I'm looking forward to talking about this episode. Davin Skellhorn sends his regrets as he has a fussy baby. Ashley working, and Jeff, I guess we said missing in action. But he might be looking for the Parmak. We're not sure.
He's not in the right place.
He's on the right place.
Yeah. We can't afford to lose another runabout. I know. I know we can't. So, Jeremy, that's fair. Okay, well, the good thing is there is a lot I know about this episode for whatever reason. October 14th, 1996, whenever this debuted, I think I also recorded it on VHS, and I watched this on VHS. As I mentioned when we covered the ship last week, a lot. I watched a lot of these early Season 5 episodes. Not just the first time there, but like before they were even in syndication. So I really know this episode well. Looking back on it, it's a script by Ronald D. Moore, and I gotta say, it's he wrote some great episodes and movies for Star Trek, and he of course went on to do Battlestar Galactica, now doing For All Mankind. This has got to be one of his best pieces of work. From start to finish, all 45 minutes, it moves and there's three different kind of storylines. I think maybe the biggest critique I have of it is that do these all kind of work together? Like, does the O'Brien and Kira storyline with the Grilka Quark kind of intersecting with Jedzia and Worf and all of that sort of playing up to the theme? So I've spoken quite a bit. I'm going to toss it over to Jaemeel, who you tell me what sort of your impressions are of this episode coming in.
Well, Ronald D. Moore is indeed excellent writer, but I think you're giving him a little bit too much credit because this is Can't Buy Me Love. Like, I'm not the only one who realizes it. What we're seeing here is basically a Star Trek version of Can't Buy Me Love, right? You have, Worf there, massaging the quirks of Quark, right, and setting him up, right, to win this lady's love, right. And why is he doing it? Practically because it's a bet. It's a bet. They said that he could not win the hand of a lady, and he's like, or he doesn't know Klingon women, and he's like, I do know Klingon women. I will take this challenge, right? And I will help Quark, get this lady's hand. And then what is our resolution, right? He was so obsessed about this that he didn't see the love that was right in front of his nose.
Okay, Kevin, reactions and thoughts to what I've said and what Jaemeel said so far. Where do you want to start?
Well, I don't think that... I think he deserves a lot of credit here, even though it's a new story. Or an old story. He tells it in a new way. Like that's the genius of this, is to tell it in an entertaining way, an old story in an entertaining way. and this hits it 100%. It's funny all the way through. I do like the Keiko and O'Brien and Kira stuff. I think it fits fine. I mean, where else are they going to put that stuff?
Yeah.
I like
as a B storyline for a Jake. Jake episode.
Yeah, that storyline could easily go into a Jake episode and be one of the worst episodes we've ever seen.
Right.
Or they could do this.
And it actually complements it though, because of what's
Yes.
going on in the other storyline. If this was put with something that didn't match up, then it would feel awkward and weird, and it would. But there's the whole like looking for love in all the wrong places. And I agree with you, Jaemeel, that like I think plot wise, I don't think this is pretty simple and it's not necessarily completely original. But I think it's more the dialogue that I really appreciate, the chemistry of the cast in this episode. It's also directed by Andrew Robinson, Garrick himself. He's behind the camera for this one. He doesn't appear. He's only mentioned, I guess he's out of his 6 months in a holding cell for, trying to commit genocide against the founders. You kind of got a slap on the wrist for that, on the genocide. Jaemeel, you okay? You went mute.
I don't think he knows why.
I can't seem to unmute you. You can't. Okay, I don't know. Kevin, I have to transition here. Where should we start? Maybe the beginning of the episode. Maybe we should talk through it.
Right.
Okay, so it starts with an eavesdropping scene with Bashir's walking by the quarters here of O'Brien, and he hears some chatter, and then Quark comes along and said, he can, with his strong big ears there, the lobes for it, he can hear what's going on, and he kind of fills in Bashir here on it, right? And he says, "Oh, the O'Briens are fighting again." Jaemeel, whenever you're back, I will direct questions towards you again. But he goes, they're arguing about control or something like that. And he goes,
Pretty boring, actually.
and then Keiko walks up and kind of surprises them, and she's just like, "Hello, doctor." Hello. Or I think she calls her Julian. She's not so fond of Quark. You can tell. There's kind of Quark.
No, yeah, she doesn't like Quark at all.
He had a thing for her. Remember back in what was that called? Where they all had the Xanthi fever. He was rubbing his lobes all over her. But he goes, "You said the O'Briens are fighting."
The other O'Briens, Miles and Kira.
Jaemeel?
I like this scene because he, at the end, what I love about this is at the end, Bashir, when he says, "Oh, Keiko made them stop," and he's kind of like, "Oh, damn. I mean, good." Like, like he wanted to listen to more.
Yeah.
Now they're in the let's talk this out and share our feelings part.
And anybody who's lived in an apartment building has walked a little slower past a door of people who are fighting.
Yeah. Just they're like, "What's going on in there? Is everything okay?" Or, I just, so Bashir, a little bit of a gossip. If Jeff were here, Jaemeel, he would be saying, as he's been saying since very late into season 4, is this Bashir, the changeling Bashir? I think this episode definitively proves it is not the changeling Bashir.
Exactly. I just love the nuances of this scene, because you have the misdirection of the O'Briens are fighting, but it's like, oh, there's Keiko, but that means it isn't, right? We get that confirmation. And then Keiko's expression when she acknowledges that Quark is there is perfect. She it's a perfect look of absolute disgust, changing from Julian. She's like, "Oh, hi, it's Miles's friend," to
that guy who rubbed his lobes on me.
So perfect. It was such a great opening sequence too, that kind of sets up that whole B plot or C plot, I guess.
Yeah, Jeremy mentions for Garrick, you don't get punished for a failed genocide. You do. It's only 6 months.
6 months.
6 months. And he was also assaulting Worf, remember? So it's been since 6 months since those events. Because that was, I guess it was at least a few months, right? Because there was like that time jump from when Odo was made into a human to when they went on the mission to the Klingons and to infiltrate the Klingons, right?
But you also assume that they couldn't get him, he couldn't do alterations from his jail cell?
I guess he maybe works in the cell. Why not? He's got nothing else to do. Yeah, and anyway, so then we cut over to the other part of the cold open, which is Worf and Dax talking about Klingon opera. Although looking back on this scene, guys, I was like, there's a lot of almost sexual innuendos, kind of in some of this dialogue. When looking back, that these two hook up at the end of this episode, he's talking about this one opera singer. He's like, it's the power, it's the strength.
It is the power of his voice, the strength of his intonation.
And then he says, I prefer traditional opera.
I prefer traditional opera performed in the traditional manner.
What's missionary?
Yeah, she's like,
None is boring anyway. He never varies his performance.
Take notes, Worf. You're going to need to vary your performance.
Yeah. So there's just like a lot of this things that I think these jokes I think the writers are having with themselves that they're putting into the script here. I think it's just kind of clever and fun and playful. And he's talking about being traditional, and I think that's also the theme of the episode, because you can look at this, it's not really anybody's one episode. This is a truly ensemble thing, other than there's certain characters in the cast that are not really in it. Like Cisco's not in this at all. Garrick's not shown, of course. We don't see Rom or a lot of the other characters here,
Or Jake.
Jake, of course. Jake Cisco, remember me? Yeah, I just think, Worf has a big arc in this episode, which is he thinks he's Klingon, he thinks he's traditional, he thinks he needs to get back to his roots and who he is and what his people are. And it's been an arc for him going on since Next Generation, right? It's continuing into this show, which I think was always a lot of fun, because I like to see more out of this character. I really like that he came over to this show at this point that he did. And then the whole thing she says to him,
For a Klingon who was raised by humans, wears a Starfleet uniform, and drinks prune juice, you're pretty attached to tradition.
right? But she loves a man riddled with contradiction.
I like a man riddled with contradictions.
Yeah. Anyway, so then we get the whole the walk, Lucara, or what's her name? No. Grilka.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's the story characters.
Right. So Grilka shows up to say hello to Quark. I'm sorry. And the thing was, when I first saw this episode, I had kind of tuned out of a lot of those earlier seasons of DS9. I came back to the show during first run when Worf joined the cast. And so when she's telling the story of there was this thing and they got married and then they got divorced, I was like, I didn't see this episode. So I'm kind of seeing it through Worf's eyes a little bit too.
And Gowron got upset at numbers.
Yeah. Gowron was trying to do math and accounting and couldn't balance the budget. But Worf is infatuated with Grilka right away.
She was glorious.
Yeah.
Just like Patrick Dempsey in Can't Buy Me Love.
Just like that. He's never seen such a woman.
I have never seen such a woman.
But he's not too happy with her choice of company.
She is a friend of the Ferengi.
Dude.
Of a
This
Ferengi.
is a Worf and Quark episode, and still never says his name.
Never says Quark.
That Ferengi.
He says, you, what do you want? He just he has only contempt for the Ferengi.
It's perfect.
Grilka, a strong name. Yeah, yes, it is, Jeremy.
Look at the way she tilts her head, and she has eyes that are like stones and twice as sharp. Look how she commands respect with her voice.
What do you guys think of Grilka? We'd seen her before. Between she's pretty consistent in both performances. She's very Klingon. Jaemeel?
I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get more from her. She was just kind of there to react a little bit, and wasn't really. I wish I got a little bit of more interactions with. Why wasn't there a Grilka and Dax sequence? I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, they never interact with each other. She never interacts with Worf either. Like, she only watches him kind of do his thing where he throws Worf off the stool and does all that stuff. But she never actually she really only talks to Quark, right? And like her, like, I don't even know if like
her envoy and her protector,
like, the guy who works for her. I don't think they actually speak to each other ever. You know, it's like that I can recall. Like, I feel like she, and then there's the bodyguard. I think she's like, "Get out of here, bodyguard." But generally speaking, like, it's kind of like the trio of them: the bodyguard, Tolpa, or whatever his name is, the adjutant guy, and then her. Like, you know, they kind of work like almost like a chorus. Like, they kind of move and like, I speak now. They have their formals. They have rituals for everything, like Quark says.
Yeah.
You know,
except waste collection or waste extraction.
Except for waste extraction. Yes. Which is where they're sending that guy on Enterprise, Kevin, the guy who who fired out a Starfleet vessel. But back in the 22nd century, no consequences. You have to watch our Enterprise at 8 podcast to know what I'm referencing. But you know,
we were both very upset by it.
Yeah, Jody's like, "What's the problem? This is how it goes back then, Dave. It takes 5 years to get places. You let things go. Capital crimes, whatever. It doesn't matter." Anyway, my tangent's over. But so you know, the whole thing where Dax gets the reenactment, you know, and Worf's kind of just continuing to speak about his attachment, like why he's, you know, and Dax says, "You got a bad case of the Parmok."
It sounds like you have a bad case of Parmok.
I like this scene when when he is following Grilka down the promenade, and Dax is following him and always kind of right next to him, like, and almost like she's the Great Gazoo around his head. I think it's great.
We can thank Andrew J. Robinson for some great camera work here, and just like using the space.
Geez, he's hiding like there's shrubs there. It's fantastic.
I'm trying to find the perfect angle here.
I loved it a lot. It's almost Shakespearean the way this episode is laid out in terms of the characters and the foreshadowing, and you guys are going to talk me into loving this episode even more than I previously started from.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, it was always just like, this is a great, like, I don't know, it's 45 minutes total. This story, but to me, like, I'm never bored at all. Like, every scene, I'm always drawn into it for some reason. Like, even this scene where Grilka talks about what's going on, the whole Klingon Federation war, the cost of war, right? She's like, my house is, you know, we lost a lot of lands and ships and guys and everything else fighting the Federation. You know, the finances are not looking good. That's why she's here. She's like, if it pleases you, you may look at my accounting. You know, that, I don't know,
but it makes sense though. If you have like Ferengi that you can get to look at your books to kind of straighten it out, one that you could at least trust, right? Then why not use that? Use that. Plus, at the same time, get a little, you know, she knew what she was coming for.
He was open to it right from the beginning.
Oh yeah,
when they left things, they were kind of on good terms, and there was kind of like maybe will they. And compared to some of Quark's other romances, this one isn't actually a returning one. Most of them are just kind of ones and done.
They get some distance, and they're like, "What was I thinking?"
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Business or pleasure?
You know what? Quark, in his own way, is very suave. I have to give him that. He has a couple of good lines there that he threw. I like.
Why don't I take a look at your financial records?
Or I think you mean more something like this.
War What is it good for? If you ask me, absolutely nothing.
I love that.
It's
Kid,
just like
that is a reference to a song.
yeah, yes. Just like in the whole thing where Dax explains what Parmok is. He says, Cisco wants to know if it's contagious.
Is that contagious?
It's the new variant, Cisco. It's like whatever comes after Omicron. That's what it is. The Parmok variant.
Oh my gosh. If they actually ever did that, I would die. I wouldn't literally die or want to, but
We don't know what the variant would do. But, she explains the translation.
Parmok is the Klingon word for love, but with more aggressive overtones.
More aggressive overtones, as we see at the end where they're all injured and beat up, scratched up. Klingons, they do things rough in the animal kingdom.
No safe words for Klingons.
No safe words. You might break things. It comes with the territory. It's what to be expected. So there's kind of like, Cisco's a little bit amused by it. He throws the baseball, gets it back. He's like, whatever, I don't care about any of this. Like, what Cisco, what did he say? You got to maintain that distance with your like subordinates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He certainly does in this episode. He comes in for 3 lines and then he's gone.
He's back to his
Always
piano.
maintain emotional distance between yourself and those under your command.
Right. That's what he does. He's like, see you later. Emotional distance.
You all are about to get into some crazy hijinks. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah. So then we get...
Let me know when you stab somebody.
Yeah. I can give you a lot of latitude around here. All right, then we get to the scene with Bashir and O'Brien, where O'Brien's like testing out her sneezing apparatuses because, as we found out, Bajoran women sneeze when they're pregnant, and O'Brien is sort of been he's attending to all this. He's fussing over Kira while she's incubating Kira Yoshi, yet to be born at this point. There's kind of like some banter here between these two about the whole affair. He talks about the rash he sees on the back of Kira's thighs. He's like, "What? How did you see this?" He's like, "I was helping her out of the tub." Helping her out of the tub, he says. What
Did you peek?
Yeah.
Did you look? This is great banter between friends.
Helping her out of the tub.
Yeah.
But, like,
But you looked.
you don't want to be
So,
the creepy doctor.
Did you look?
Sorry.
That's okay. But, like, Julian, don't be the creepy doctor.
He was a bit creepy in that scene. Yeah.
He's not the creepy doctor. He's the creepy best friend.
Right.
Yeah.
I just, like, I hope no one heard him talking about this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Word gets around.
Especially
Word gets
if
around.
Kira gets wind of it.
Yeah. And then he was just like, we got to go to the Hollow Suite.
I heard a rumor that Jerry's might be trying to cross the channel this evening. Maybe we should have a surprise waiting for them.
Maybe we should have a surprise waiting for them. He's like, I can't. Kira, I got to massage Kira, give her foot rubs or whatever, and help her in the tub. That's what you do. I don't know why. I guess Keiko helps too, but it seems like it's mostly falls
It
on
does
Miles.
not seem like that at all. She looks
Keiko
quite
looks like she's on
refreshed.
vacation.
What?
Like Keiko's like, this is the best pregnancy ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All she needed was like, oh, just like lean back.
I can't go. I have a botanical pathology seminar tomorrow.
Wouldn't want to miss that.
No.
Sounds like punitive spiritualism.
Miles, Edward, O'Brien.
Yeah, you help her out of the tub. You try out those sneezing apparatuses to make sure that the Makara herbs taste good enough to help her with the swelling on her ankles. This is a rough pregnancy here on Kira, huh? Like she's only a few months into it, but it goes fast for the Bajoran women. I understand. 5-month gestations. Yeah. So the word gets around, and obviously, he's like, it's a small station.
It's a small station.
It's a huge station.
Huge huge station. The only time I ever heard it like referred to as a huge station.
Oh my gosh.
Well, for your information, we are not fighting.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's I just love that. Yeah, I agree that banter is so much fun. And then like just the whole scene here with Worf and Morn at the bar. Like even just like the lead up to it where it's just Morn like licking out of his glass with his fingers and like and he's like looking over and like I love the fact that Morn apparently never shuts up. That's the gag, but we never see him speak on camera. But you know, just like the motions and like sort of the character acting that goes on here is so much fun. And then Worf like says,
I will apologize for this at a later time.
Apologize now.
He's like, I not now, later.
What the fuck?
I want to see that conversation later where Worf's apologizing for this, right?
You are in my seat.
Ass over tea kettle. Jeez.
Yeah, just like the whole like display here he does for them, where he's he gets the whole bartender blood
wine.
Just and then the whole.
What is that smell? Is there a pile of rotting Vorshak in here?
The best part about it is the dude no-sells the entire thing.
Yeah, they're all just so like whatever. They're so not impressed by the whole thing. Like maybe they are, but they're just like, yeah. They're up like two steps higher.
They're just like, oh Jesus, not this again.
This guy, this guy, huh? He's got to make a thing about it, and then Worf is just it's just funny to see him like he kind of does say it.
I am a fool.
Yeah,
he peacocks, and he looks like a damn idiot doing so.
This whole conversation though, where like the old wise sage guy, he's just like, listen, man, she can't go with you. You're disgraced. What? It's whatever. Like. We appreciate the effort. All good, all cool. We're cool with you, but no, never gonna happen. Sorry.
This is the scene represents that meme where the guy tries to go talk to a girl and the other guy stops him and goes, no. Right? That's this sequence right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, no, sorry.
Just
sorry.
pulls him aside. You're embarrassing yourself. Just stop.
And she bans him from Quarks.
But like this conversation is also what kind of like obsesses Worf a little bit more throughout the episode, where he's like, have you ever courted a Klingon woman? And he goes, no. He's not, we're not, I guess, counting Kalar, who was Alexander's mother, who was half Klingon. So so that says to me that Worf considers Kalar to be more human than Klingon, or
I think Kalar considered herself to be more human than Klingon.
I think that's fair. I think she
kind of courted him too.
Yeah, I guess. So there was a lot of backstory with those two that we never got fully filled in on how they even knew each other or what their romance was in the past exactly. But when he says fully Klingon woman, definitely not. Like, so Grilka is like, how old is Worf at this point? Like 30 something, almost 40?
At this point?
No idea.
Like,
I would hope he'd be somewhere near 40, being the commander of a space station.
Right.
He's 26.
I'm just like, well, we seen that. Well, there was also that other one that was half Klingon. She was half Klingon, half Romulan. Remember her on the like that penal colony in Next Generation?
Oh yeah.
Where the Romulans had the Klingons under prisoner.
Right.
So
That's
there was also her. So he's also not putting her in the Klingon category either. He considers her to be separate. But in the cheeks. There was also that one that Q made him, or I guess it was Riker, in that episode Hiding Q, where he's like, hey Worf, I'll make you a Klingon woman, and she was growling and going after him, and Geordi was like, is this what you think sex is?
And the correct response that Worf should have gave was, don't yuck my yum.
He's like, it is, but then he's like, she's like alien or something. Anyway, that I watched that episode the other night. It was so good. I was like, we have to do this. We have to. Right. So anyway, so Worf goes off after this to lick his wounds and kind of talk to Dax about it. And then he says, "I'm a fool. I don't know what to do." She's like, "Yeah, it was probably like good on you for trying." He's like, "Well, who would ever want to talk to the traitor or whatever?" And then Quark shows up just shortly after that. I love how he, again, Worf never says his name. And he just says, "What do you want?
What do you want?"
What do you want?
I want to talk to Dax, if that's all right with you.
He just growls. He's just like, "Ugh, yeah, I talked to Dax." She likes you, I guess, for some reason.
What's wrong with him?
He's having a bad day.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, that's a shame.
But this is kind of creepy. This is like Worf's kitchen. Just barges in.
The mess, yeah. Well, Worf lives on the Defiant, and I'm like, why? Yeah, like there's scenes like that are. I guess it lets them use that set quite a bit.
When Quark surprises him on the bridge of the Defiant, I'm like, how did Quark get on the fuck? And then I realized it's Quark. Of course he got on, no problem.
So that whole sequence, like Worf is emo, right? Worf, like if Worf was fully human in the 90s, he would be listening to like Robert Smith and The Cure.
We're talking about like that Klingon opera scene, like later on. Yeah, like
in the dark, just singing along.
Like even when he comes in, it's still really dark. And this is what Worf does at night.
Yeah.
This is emo Worf. You're right.
Doesn't even take off his uniform to sing his opera.
He would be shedding a tear. He'd have his black makeup, and you can see the eyeliner running. He's like, "What do you want, Quark? Leave me alone."
It's almost like yeah, like it's just like this guy is the saddest guy. He needs a girlfriend. Dax took pity on him. Like, what
he's singing in the dark in a moonlighted room.
On the Defiant, even though he lives on a space, he should live on a space station.
It's not like he's relaxing. He's standing up and singing and then moving throughout the set.
This is his version of like what's that, carpool karaoke?
I think also it's on purpose that he's terrible at it. Like,
oh yeah. They're like, "Come on, Michael, can you give us some really like bellowy kind of stuff?" He's like, and they're like, "Great, make a song that's like opera singers trying to do that better."
Oh my
You
god!
can only make it so improved. Yeah, like just like Quark, and the romance here, and the fact that he's really into Grilka, right? And he's like, "She's glorious," and Dax is like, "Why is no one talking about me? Why is nobody? Everyone? I'm beating off Bashir and Quark and every other suitor, but not this week. Like everyone's looking at Grilka."
This is exactly why there should have been a Dax and Grilka like sequence.
Yeah. Just what would Dax have said? Like, "Hey, I used to be kind of important around here."
And then you showed
a
up.
week. Yeah, now you're the buzz. What's that about? I was trying to get this guy's attention for over a year. Worf. I'm battling him in the hollow suite. I'm making like kind of sexy jokes to him all the time.
It would have been awesome if we had a scene with Bashir and Grilka where Bashir falls in love with her too.
Oh my gosh. Like, when you think about it, Dax has been putting in some heavy work. Like, Steve Urkel would appreciate the amount of effort she's put in wearing down Worf.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, and Worf's just clueless to it. I think that's also what I kind of love about their romance, is that Worf was completely oblivious to it until she like came out and was like, "Challenge, motherfucker," like, "Come on, let's go." And he's like, "Oh, okay." I didn't put this together. he's like totally down for it once she kind of like says she is. I guess that's kind of what's interesting about it. Okay, then we pivot back to the other O'Briens, Miles and Kira having massages here. It's getting a little bit intimate, I would say.
You are a sadist, Miles Edward O'Brien.
He'll get it harder.
Harder it is. O'Brien's survival technique.
That one's going to be in permanent rotation.
Yeah.
When he talks about his
harder it is.
When he talks about his parents and how their screaming became either, what was it, something or titillation? I'm like, wait, what?
The neighbors didn't know whether to be worried or titillated.
That's a great line. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's talking about his mother's descriptive phrases.
Descriptive phrases.
So dirty.
I swear sometimes you'd hear her screams halfway across Ireland.
This whole scene, like, I can't. I'm like, every line in this script is funny, and it is just like, what is going on? Like Ronald D. Moore is just having a lot of fun with these characters, I guess is what it comes down to. And she's like, well, you should go back to Ireland. Do you ever miss it? He's like, I never thought so before, but now I'm getting older, nostalgic. But if I left,
who'd give you foot massages?
Not Molly, not Keiko. If I left, what about you? Oh my god.
Yeah, if I left, who would give you foot massage? And like the whole thing where they kind of realize that it's getting weird between them. And Keiko doesn't know what the heck's going on, and they don't want to tell her, I guess. So, so if she doesn't figure it out, they're not going to tell her. And so, yeah, they're just like, let's maybe just let this cool off. Jaemeel, what do you make of this? Like the fact that I get, O'Brien's like, she's living in my house. She's having my baby.
7 more months.
She's living in my house. She's having my baby.
I thought
we are adults.
I thought for a second Kevin was doing a great impersonation. I couldn't, they're very close and living on top of each other, and it's a very intimate situation. Sharing the space and talking to each other consistently and having such a bond with a pregnancy, and they're adults and they realize the awkwardness. That's it isn't like a fling or anything like that. They're not necessarily cheating or anything like that, but they understand the awkwardness. So I love this entire sequence because 1, it's funny, 2, it's fun, and 3, it's kind of playful. The back and forth is great. It never gets super weird and awkward in a sense of where it isn't enjoyable. Right.
Yeah, I think watching it back tonight, only that the scene in the runabout at the end where they're like, she's like, I gotta leave, and they kind of say, oh, maybe it would have been nice in another life or something like that. Like O'Brien lingers a little too long.
Yeah, and she's like, Miles,
get out,
One
and
of my favorite scenes in the whole show, and she's just like, Miles. He's like, yes, and he's like kind of leaning in, and she's like, get out.
Yeah, go see your car. And so it's like if they just a few seconds less, I think would have just made that more perfect. We did the next scene is we did talk about the whole Worf singing in the dark and Quark getting on board and the Klingon opera of it all. I did pull 2 of these, so I gotta pull the where's my second one here.
So completely tone deaf.
Oh, what does he say about the Klingon? The
Klingon monotone rules.
Klingon opera is only good if it's painful to listen to. That's the point. It's intentionally painful.
Oh my god!
Burst the eardrums of your enemies. And so the whole scene, there's more of this dialogue where Worf is of course, like, hey, everything you told me to do, because Worf had told him, like, she's from this region. You need to, like, bring this animal in and clear the table and, say, this is what I brought to you. And, like, it was kind of a gamble because the bodyguard might have shattered every bone in his body. But instead, she accepts the invitation. And, he says, what else happened?
We ate the linkta, which tasted really bad.
He talked about her family history, a long and bloody tale, and then I left, and then it was a perfect
They listened
evening.
to some terrible Klingon opera, and then he left.
Yeah, we listened to some noise she called Klingon music.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and then except for the bodyguard.
The idea of a Ferengi courting a great lady is offensive.
It's offensive. A Ferengi, very racist. These Klingons. Yeah, and
It's attitudes like that that keep you people from getting invited to all the really good parties.
Good comeback. Anyway, so Worf says, like, I can help you. Like, he's like, if you like, Quark kind of makes this plea to him. He's like, will you help me?
Yes, I can. We have work to do.
And we cut right over to the holodeck scene where next thing we know, Quark is in full, like, outfit on the holo suite, fighting with Klingons. Quite the costumes in this too.
Really, I thought he was Luke from Empire Strikes Back, and he was on Hoth. You
thought he was Kahless, the Unforgettable.
Yeah, that's what
he's Kahless. He's just
Kahless is wearing in TNG, is it not?
I guess they pulled that out. Like what that was Kahless's outfit. Yeah, that the clone Kahless wore, and what he's wearing in the painting too, right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's this. I guess so. Klingon fashion has not changed much in 1,000 years, as we see from this other Klingon guy who's just wearing like 24th century kind of Klingon garb.
So, I feel cheated a little bit because the way that Worf left it before this scene, if it was any other type of movie, we would have gotten a montage, and we didn't.
Yeah, you feel cheated on montage. I think that's a fair critique.
Just replay the last line. We got work to do. Montage, dun 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 dun, and then Quark trying out. It should kick in the music, and then Worf is with Quark, and they're in a dressing room trying on different things, and they're out in the street, and then Quark is like trying to learn something, and Worf is like, oh my gosh, and he walks off, and they're like, what? It's a whole sequence we missed, a good 2-3 minutes, but they cut it off obviously for time. But
yeah, I'm with you. I think that would have been fun. We didn't get that though. But Kevin, your whole reaction to this thing where and Dax got dressed up for this. She loves getting dressed up, Dax, right? She always is dragging Kira into the holosuite, like let's make believe.
Believe in where you are. Put yourself in this place, in this time.
He would be in drama class, dude, so much.
Yeah, because look at Worf. He's just like, no, your energy is not right. Like, Worf's like, I'll be the director of every episode. Where he's like, you say the words.
You say the words, but there is no feeling behind them, no passion.
I would love to see Worf direct a high school play. I think that's the winner of an episode.
Yeah, that's the gold right there. Yeah. Just like this whole thing where he's like he's so entranced by like Klingon history.
1,000 years ago, the dawn of the Empire, 500 warriors stormed the great hall at Kamchi. The city garrison fled before them. Only the Emperor Kahless and the Lady Lukar stood their ground. It was here that they began the greatest romance in Klingon history.
Yeah, there's quite there's just like this romantic side of Worf, and this whole like thing. This Kahless guy. Not only did he defeat the Herc and forge the Empire together, like he had like this amazing love story, and he killed Molor and made the first Batleth. He's like, you want to talk about space Jesus, Jody? Is it Kahless?
I love that Quark doesn't give a shit at all. He's like, this isn't romantic. I got blood in my shoes.
This is ridiculous.
After that speech, Quark is just like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Quark's like, you are a fool. What is wrong with you?
I'm surrounded by corpses. My shoes are dripping in blood, and you want me to feel romantic?
He sounds a little bit like Woody Allen there. It's like, I'm surrounded by corpses here. It's like, you think this is romantic?
Yeah, what the heck's wrong with you Klingons? You know, where's the business in it? And then, you know, but Dax is like, listen, like later that night, they're gonna get it on. So if you do this for Grilka, you will get Grilka. He's like, okay, I'm with you. So Quark's got his eye on the prize. We get the whole smug Odo scene in the security audience office with Kira. You know, Odo is not having a good day. That's a shame.
This is the fourth theft of equipment from Upper Pylon 3 this month.
You know, he's not happy with O'Brien in particular.
It's not the security arrangements that are at fault here. It's our friend, the Chief of Operations.
Miles? What did he do?
It's what he's not doing. He still hasn't finished upgrading the structural integrity field on Upper Pylon 3.
Odo's a great security chief. He just blames everyone else for all of the security problems. This time it's O'Brien's fault, or it's Starfleet regulations, or it's Eddington, or it's never him.
No, everything is always, he deflects very well. I think how he's kept the position for so long over many administrations. Jaemeel, like, what do you think of Odo here, where he's just like, screw O'Brien, screw all this stuff, and then he's like really kind of leaning into Kira when she's defending him. He's like, are you a little bit
Miles?
Growing fond of the Chief, are we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Such a smug bastard. It's great.
Yeah, I love this.
Miles is a very busy.
Sorry.
He's leaning into her like, just like Bashir does to O'Brien in the other scene. Like he's I think he's just making fun of her here, more lighthearted than angry.
Serves you right.
Yeah, he's got because we saw that like there was the whole like kind of tension between Kira and Odo when she hooked up with Shakar, and the fact that there was that thing, and then he put this distance between them. And this is one of like the first scenes I've seen them speaking and like having this meeting in the security office since that like sort of falling out, which was a while back. Yeah, I think so it was kind of nice to see them having a banter here. But looking back on it, like I felt like Odo comes across almost a little bit. I get he's ripping her, but he almost comes across a little bit mean. But it's also there is some truth. He is digging. He's like, there's something going on here. The detective in Odo can't help it, right? When he knows
that people like Kira are creatures of habit, and for her to switch gears in terms of how she refers to someone, like he's like, whoa, what is going on? Right? So that's why.
Look, Miles is a very busy man. He can't be everywhere at once.
I like it. I like in this scene, Odo's complaining about how nothing's getting done and how it's his fault, how it's O'Brien's fault. And then I think it's like the next scene or the scene after, O'Brien is sitting on the couch with Keiko, and he's like, it's not that busy. I don't really have much to do.
Yeah, I know. That's the best part.
Works real slow. I'm home early, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
They don't need me anymore.
Don't need me.
Don't need me anymore.
My hands are pretty cold.
With Odo.
Yeah, just like smug Odo. He's like, that. Oh, you like that O'Brien, huh? He won't even keep that structural integrity field online up there, and then she's like, well, it's like a part of his family now. He goes, yeah, what part?
Which part?
What?
Which part of his family are you? Sister, daughter, cousin?
Could we concentrate on the criminal activities report?
Of course. And I'll refrain from making any further disparaging remarks about the chief.
I mean, Miles.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I love that because he is ribbing her, but he's not very good at it.
yeah.
Like it just he's not skilled at it. It's fantastic.
I'm saying it right now. Radio theater.
It's got it. We got to do this one. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's too good of a script.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like just we cut over here. We got Quark talking it up with Grilka. He went through the whole like Kalis Lucara simulation. You know, and I think it's interesting that he's not trying to be somebody else. He's trying to impress her. He's trying to like, you know, adapt to her. But he's like, listen, I'm a Ferengi.
I am a Ferengi. That means I have a talent for appreciating objects of great value.
And you know, because like it's not. I guess the Klingon and the Ferengi cultures couldn't be more diametrically opposed, right? So this whole relationship is like so unlikely, you know, that everyone around it's like saying, "Oh, this is like, you know, I don't know, not going to work." The values here just won't sync up, and ultimately, even though they are starting to find common ground, they are starting to find things that they can respect in each other. The next thing she knows, this, you know, the bodyguard throws him over and it says, I will stand by this and watch my great lady go after a Ferengi. And he challenges, he's like, either you kill me or I kill you. I don't know why she really lets this happen. I don't know why she just doesn't fire this guy, but I guess the protocol doesn't allow for it. It's the one like part of the episode I'm like, what, why? Isn't she the boss?
I don't know, maybe she wants to see what Quark will do.
Okay, that must be it, right? Like this is like, she kind of wants her bodyguard to do this.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she has to on some level, right? Like she's not like,
she
like,
doesn't. She has control over him. Like she's not. I think she can tell him no, or get rid of him. I mean, she does at the end of the fight.
Yeah, she's like, you're fired. See you later.
Hit the bricks.
Hit the bricks. Take off. Here. Yeah, like you know, but so then there's kind of the commiserating in the next scene. Oh no, actually the next scene is the whole after she throws him on the table. Then we get it's Kira and the O'Briens in the quarters where he's like, yep, they don't need me anymore. Kira comes in, says she wants to go to Bajor for a few days, and Keiko is not having it, guys.
Bajor?
You know,
Bajor.
She's always trying. She's like, my husband will give you a massage if I order him to. Just, you know, she's
Wagyu beef, and it's like, you need to keep tenderizing her. You better not do that to leave my baby not tenderized.
Right. Both O'Brien and Kira realize they need to put some distance and they need to let this cool off. But they don't want to tell her this. So, you know, and so Keiko's insisting that he goes with her.
Miles, maybe you should go with her.
What?
I can't go. I have a botanical pathology seminar tomorrow, but you said yourself things are slowing up.
Tomorrow.
I feel like that's
afternoon.
I feel like that's how O'Brien answers her all the time. What? Just what?
What? What? What do I have to do now? Yeah.
Miles,
you know.
Miles, Edward, O'Brien.
Yeah. Anyway, so
someone made a supercut of her.
Yeah, like
Miles
insisting that they go. The next scene is Quark talking to Worf and Dax about the whole like, what are my options here? What can I do? Can I get out of this? Is there anything I can do? And Worf's like, no, like under Klingon law, you are completely fucked. You are not getting out of this, no matter what you do.
My choices are to not show up, be branded a coward, and lose Grilka, or die.
Yes.
Oh, come on now! There must be another way out of this.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's there's gotta be a better way out of this. What could I do? Worf, the other thing was, Worf and Dax aren't even allowed to go to this. That struck me a little bit as odd. Because you think like the guy would be allowed to have his entourage presence or whatever.
Dax
like,
probably would, but not Worf for sure.
What if you had a Chadich? No Chadich?
I guess not in this case.
Nope.
Yeah.
I love that he wants to do the exact same thing he did in the last episode, and Worf is just like, "You'll die." He'll kill you.
Yeah, he's like, I'll just say like, you wouldn't kill me. That would be not honorable, right? He's like, that only worked because Gowron stopped him. Okay, no one's gonna stop him from killing you.
That's so great.
But if you can stand here and murder this pathetic little man, then you have no honor.
Exactly how I planned it.
This pathetic little man. Oh, okay. And then, like Dax is the one who's like, I've got an idea. And then we get this. This is one of the more interesting, like science fiction ideas that they threw into this episode, like kind of like the remote control, Worf.
Dave, this is the classic movie ploy where a person is there with a microphone in his ear or a headpiece in his ear, and the other person is feeding him lines, to tell to the woman. This is classic movie trope 101.
I agree, like as a device, yes, but like just the way it's executed in like sort of this imaginative way, I think is kind of clever. Like so instead of telling him what to say, he's helping him move and actually fight with a batleth, and it gives like this episode some action and more than like just saying the words, right? Which we've already kind of done. They've already kind of gone through that stage where he's like, say this, throw the leg of lamb or whatever it is on the table and ink the linkta, and even though it tastes bad, and do it all. But like this just kind of there's some stakes here. Like Quark could die. He's really trying to go in the extra mile for love. Yeah. What is love without danger? Quark asked that last week, right? So Kevin, what do you think of all this with the I guess Worf helping Quark through this in this way, like Dax's solution?
Yeah, I like this. It's classic like Cyrano. But it's good. I like that Worf isn't talking for Quark when he's in the battle, and Quark has got to like Quark doesn't know what's going to happen next and what his body's going to do next. Yeah. And the fact that nobody finds that weird, I think is great.
Yeah.
The movement would not have hurt if you were in better physical condition.
Oh, that was so great too.
Yeah.
Exercise makes me sweat.
And the whole time, like,
makes me sweat.
And Dax's reaction to that line was what killed me.
Where she's like, "Oh, you're so cute, Quark." Like that's how I read it. That reaction. Like I like just like the little things. I gotta say, like Andrew Robinson, Garrick, he really did. If he was giving these directions to the cast and to put the fun into it, or maybe they were just having fun overall, and that's coming through here in the episode. Either way, like good job. Like it's quite something else here. And then there's at the end of this thing here, he's like, Worf's like, I can't believe I'm doing all this to help this guy. Like I'm practically giving him Grilka, not to mention saving his life. But that's like he doesn't care about any of that. I guess he wants to prove he has what it takes, and through Quark can be his proxy, right?
Yep.
But Dax is like, listen, what's so great about her? Yeah, she's like a cool Klingon woman, but what about,
If I were in your shoes, I would be looking for someone a little more entertaining, a little more fun, and maybe even a little more attainable.
You are not in my shoes.
Just oblivious.
She's basically throwing herself at this dude.
Attainable? Who spends all of her free time hanging out with you and Quark trying to help him win Grilka? Yeah. Like she's I don't know what like Dax actually does as the science officer on Deep Space Nine. I don't know how much science comes her way, but you know, she's
not a whole lot after season 4. It just
she rarely has like a scientific problem. Here she has to fix this optronic relay later on in the episode but that's more of that would have normally been like an O'Brien kind of a task or something like that, right? Anyway, so we get the whole fight between Quark and he's doing it, and then but Worf like breaks it off and Quark's in trouble. That's kind of the cliffhanger right before the commercial. Of course, like, I'm gonna die. So, you know, he calls for the good old.
I claim the right of proclamation.
I've never heard of the right of proclamation.
Old Ferengi custom.
Yes. Well, yeah, he makes up all this kind of stuff. He's like, you will listen to my things. And Quark basically stalls long enough for them to fix this thing. And this episode is jammed. This episode is packed with stuff. And it's like amazing that they're like, we have to like solve this problem now.
I love Worf's line there too, when he's like, I don't know how, but he's still alive.
I don't know how he's doing it. And Dax is just like, I'm going as fast as I can. He's like, you need to fix it now. I need to get back. Me with the bat left. Like, I need to get back at doing some bat left. You know?
And she says, don't show off this time.
Yeah, no, that was the best.
No showing off this time, Worf. Just get it over with.
That was not showing off.
Yeah, and so Quark was completely willing to sort of kill this guy at the end because like Worf wins the fight once he takes over here, and Quark's like, if you insist,
like, I'm picking up your weapon. I'm picking up mine.
I'm giving it to you, apparently.
Yeah, if Quark had his way, he was like, this guy's dead. I've killed him in my hollow suite. I don't know how he's going to get through the legal ramifications of that, but he was okay with it.
He's just going to get yelled at. You do 6 months for
attempted genocide.
For stabbing someone, you just get yelled at.
This is a legal duel under Klingon law.
True. And the potential business for him actually winning in combat and killing a Klingon.
Oh yeah, it was boost business.
Whoa,
what a guy! This guy kills people in his holosuites. If you challenge him, say he doesn't have honor, don't mess with this Ferengi. Every Klingon would stop
my
it.
Discounts and sales.
Yeah, exactly. So Quark, but Worf kind of forces them into it, and Quark's kind of fine with it. He's like, or maybe I won't kill you. Maybe I'll just give you the sword. And all that, and you know, all good, man. And it kind of works. Like, so they get rid of Tolpor. You're done. Old guy, he just leaves. He flakes off, and we got the two of them just together because Worf's in control of Quark right up until like the moment like where they're fully embraced. He's like, "Hello, Grilka." Anyway, Quark and Grilka get it on, and then a few moments later, Dax and Worf also have their whole moment where she says the Klingon phrase. He's like, "Oh, go she, whatever." I don't know the line. I don't speak Klingon, but yeah, like I like this whole thing where she's like, "This is what I have to do. You are not in my shoes." Until she's going for it here. They cut away, and that's when we get the whole scene with Kira and O'Brien in the runabout. The will they, won't they? And you're like, well, you really shouldn't because this is weird and no one asked for this. But I get that. I'm fine that this was just like a one and done, and then they never came back to this again.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Right? The whole thing of it, and we kind of decided, like, I'm like, I wish it was just a little bit shorter at the end. Otherwise, I think it's a really good scene. It's again clever. She's like, it's probably the most romantic place in all of Bajor. They got this view of the river, and there's got the sunsets and everything else.
The delivery of that line is incredible when she goes, and there's something else.
Yeah,
there's a view.
It's the best place ever. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, at the stars, when the stars are out, you can only hear the rushing water. It may be one of the most romantic spots in all of Bayshore. And then he's like, "That's it. I'm not going. I don't care what Kingo says. I'm not going. I'll like she'll be mad. Whatever. She's always mad. Just leave it. Let it be." And
I can deal with it.
I can deal with that. I can deal with that. I cannot deal with
the Jerry's are coming across the channel. I'll go do that.
The Jerry's. I gotta go with the Jerry's across the channel. I can't handle these rivers and rushing waters and beautiful villas and things. I know you have no blankets for the orphans in Bayshore, but you have these beautiful vacation retreats. They're still intact. You know, there has to be some perks.
Does Shakar have time off to actually like? Why aren't they going there?
The best thing with Shakar is like we never see him again. He was only in like his last appearance was his last appearance.
You're right. That is the best thing about Shakar.
They're like she got the thing with Shakar. She's in a relationship with Shakar, and he never even is on the show. Like it's just she's unavailable, right, all the time, basically. Like until she's with
no, Shakar comes back when she gives birth. Shakar is in that episode.
Oh, you're right. Look, that's the end of Shakar.
At the finish line. What a loser.
Anyway, the next scene, the whole thing where you'd be, what have we been doing? Didn't have time to pull that clip. But yeah, like Bashir's like, I don't need that image in my head. Thank you very much. And then a few minutes, I think I even more appreciate just the entrance here from Worf and Dax. The fact that she's got the baldric over her shoulder. He's got these massive gashes in his face. She dug in with claws.
She hate after him.
Yeah.
This is what you get for like 6 months.
This is when you rip that console out of the wall. You're like, what do I do? I don't care what you do with it. That's where I'll get out the aggression. And just like the end here where like there's like she's like, well, we have to get married, right, under Klingon law, and he's like, well, but maybe not. And she just kind of like, let's take it slowly. But they're hugging here. This is not a one night stand. There seems to be some affection here. This is maybe gonna last, and we're gonna see where this goes. And then she's like, and I'll tell you one thing, you forgot about Grilka.
The awkward laugh.
That laugh. Have you guys seen Planet of the Apes, like the original?
Yes.
When the guy plants the flag in the ground and Charlton Heston does that laugh, it's exactly the same. It's just ridiculous.
Oh
my gosh.
That is the fakest laugh, no matter whose mouth it comes out of.
Yes.
Oh, guess who's here, guys?
Hey.
It's only 10:19.
We're done.
Yeah, we just finished talk about the whole episode. So
that was the very last scene.
Yes, great. I missed it.
You can take us into double F right now.
Oh, okay, that works. I did watch the episode.
Good.
Did you just watch the episode?
I did watch it, then I fell asleep. I pulled a Jaemeel.
Oh, that's what we're calling it now.
That's what we're calling it.
I think it's a Jeff. I think you invented that move. I don't think he did.
I've done it.
I think we've all done it.
Except for Dave.
No, I haven't done it.
No, well, not Dave. He's not human.
He doesn't have time to sleep, okay? He has to color coordinate what he's wearing for the podcast to make
Look, I got a color coordinated ring now to go with my shirt and my hat and my wristband.
He's got to go run, 5 miles and then,
5 kilometers. Give me some double F, Jeff. We're waiting.
I'm looking for it. 1 sec.
He's impatient.
Come on.
If only Dax had that gusto.
Who is Dax?
Who's Dax?
I'm not a big fan of this episode, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
You bespeech this episode.
Wow.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Then you probably wouldn't have liked being here.
Hey, that's fair enough.
You showed up at the exact right time. Then
I would have pissed Dave off quite a bit because I know he has a boner for the Jadzia Wharf of it all. But for me, it's an okay episode, but it doesn't. I don't like the wedding episode. I don't really like this episode.
So Jeff, answer this question for me. Do you believe that if Worf was human, right, and grew up in the 90s, that he would be listening to Robert Smith and The Cure in the dark with the eyeliner on in the dark?
Yeah, he would paint his fingernails black. And yeah, he would definitely be like the sulky emo kind of dude listening to heavy metal. Yeah, that's Worf.
Well, The Cure isn't really heavy metal.
Okay. All right, no, fair enough. Yeah, he'd be listening to The Cure.
Yeah.
He'd be like he'd be,
like it was Stan from South Park when he goes through his phase.
Right. Or like in The Wedding Singer, where you got do you really want to hurt me? Yeah.
So bad.
He walks on the bridge. Oh my gosh.
All right, Jeff, you got some metaphysical
I'm
puzzles?
not done with my quick review.
All right.
My quick review of this episode is I know you guys like it and stuff, but like I don't really love Dax in the episode. I feel like, it's just pure like sarcasm, and I'm waiting for someone like Cisco to yell at her like he did in the last episode, but it never happens.
No, it never happens.
There's a lot of like, I don't know, sometimes like it's just like catching Worf up on like, hey, we did Klingon episodes before you showed up, and like this is actually what happened in one of them, so let's just catch you up with like Quark and the Grilka of it all. And I'm like, okay, like I get why they did this episode, but at the same time, I just don't. I'm not a huge fan. My ratings will reflect it. Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome. This is the only Deep Space Nine episode to be directed by Andrew Robinson, Garrick, who he went on to direct a Voyager episode, Blood Fever and Unforgettable, which I don't
Which
know.
we forgot about?
I don't. Yeah.
What, Unforgettable was forgettable? Are you saying?
I don't remember which ones episodes those are. I'm sure if I threw them on, they'd be good episodes. But
I think. Well, I don't know how much credit to like. I like this episode, and I don't know how much credit to give Andrew Robinson or not as the director of this episode. But because we saw like last night we watched like an okay Enterprise episode. Actually, it was probably not too good. It was directed by LeVar Burton, but I think he did about as good with it as he could have.
Aren't they all just okay Enterprise episodes?
So far, not great.
Right.
Okay, not great.
Right. So this
next week.
Maybe that's why you like this episode so much. You've been watching some Enterprise, and you're like, "Ooh, this is a nice."
I actually did think that while I was watching this. I was like, "Oh, what a breath of fresh air!"
Right.
Well, for me, this is the only Star Trek content I'm watching right now at this exact moment. So.
All right, and you're a fan of this episode, Jaemeel? You like it a lot?
Well, they will. Everyone else will attest to what I said at the beginning, where I said, "Let's not give too much credit, right, for this episode." And then throughout us talking about it, I'm like, "Man, I'm really liking this episode a lot more."
Okay, fair enough. Quark states, quote, "War, what is it good for? If you ask me, absolutely nothing." It's a paraphrase from a 1969 song, War, which is
by Edwin Starr.
By Edwin Starr, yes.
Yes. Yes. He also did 25 Miles. Great song.
Yeah.
War. What is it good for? If you ask me, absolutely nothing.
Well, let's see. That's all right. This is the part where that doesn't make any sense to me because Quark is all about profit, and war. It's pretty good for profit.
It's one of the rules. War is good
Rules
for business,
are, yeah.
But it was asking him, not the rules.
Okay. when Grilka first meets Quark, he holds up his drink tray for protection, and she goes for her knife. This mimics their first meeting in the House of Quark. Another episode I'm not a huge fan of, although far more playful. Okay.
What did you give House of Quark? I'm gonna look that up.
I probably give it better than I'm gonna give this one.
Whoa.
Okay. This is the one and only time that a Klingon word appears in an episode title.
You gave House of Quark 7.9. So
okay.
Balance that.
Because it's a Quark episode. I think that's why.
So is this.
Is it? Is it?
Is it?
Okay. This episode was a Star Trek twist on the play Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yes. Kevin referenced it earlier.
Okay, I didn't know. Have you watched that play? Do you know
Cyrano,
this play?
you know?
Cyrano, yeah.
I never watched the play. Okay. I did know this. Jackie Childs is in this episode. Phil Morris, who plays the Klingon Thopak.
Yeah.
He appeared in the original Star Trek. I didn't know he was in the original Star Trek almost 30 years before in Miri, which is Dave's favorite episode.
Yeah, I remember when we watched Miri, he came up. I was like, this guy from looking for Parmak in all the wrong places?
Right, Jackie Childs. As Boy in Army Helmet in his first ever acting appearance at age 10, he was subsequently seen as Cadet Foster in The Search for Spock. He was also Remeta Clan, which in Rocks and Shoals, and as John Kelly in One Small Step.
So he's a Star Trek legend.
Well, I think Star Trek gave him his acting start, so he gave back. And then so it also says, according to the Star Trek DS9 companion, Morris auditioned for the role of Cisco, but was turned down because he was too young.
Mm.
I could see that. I could see him playing Cisco. Absolutely, positively. Anyway. Quark says war was the good for, and then we already mentioned this. It's the 34th rule of acquisition is war is good for business. So seems like he forgot.
Isn't the 33rd war is bad for business?
Peace is good for business.
Peace.
They're both good for business.
Peace is good for business.
They're
Sorry,
both good for It's just everything's good for business.
Yes.
Right. The title is based on a line from a 1979 song called "Looking for Love" by country music singer Johnny Lee for the movie Urban Cowboy.
Yep.
I didn't know that. Okay. To Mech's line, quote, "The challenge has been given and accepted. Let no one interfere." Closely resembles to pause words from Star Trek: Amok Time.
Oh yeah, that's true. Let no one interfere.
Joseph Ruskin, who played Tumek in this episode, had previously appeared as Galt in Star Trek original series, The Gamesters of Triskelion. I don't know if I'm saying that right. As Tumek in Deep Space Nine, The House of Quark, and as well as this episode, and as Odo's Cardassian informant in Improbable Cause. He would subsequently be seen as a son of a Sona officer, in Insurrection, a Vulcan master in Voyager's Gravity, and a Sulubin doctor in Enterprise's Broken Bow. So you guys have already covered that.
This guy?
Suluban.
We're talking about this guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Suluban, I believe, is the pronunciation.
He was a Suluban.
Suluban.
Yeah. It was funny, like Jody was trying to pronounce like Silic, Salik last night. The main Suluban character. I was like, he's the main Suluban character.
This episode is a sequel to The House of Quark. We also have Joseph Ruskin, who we were just talking about, appeared in every Star Trek television series except TNG, although he did appear in Insurrection. So he kind of, acted with that cast.
Yeah, collected them all.
With the exception of Majel Barrett, who has appeared in every Star Trek series, he was the one and only actor to appear in all 4 series in question. Furthermore, given that Barrett only provided the computer voice in Voyager and Enterprise, Ruskin was the only actor to appear on screen in all 4 series mentions above. Along with Majel Barrett, Clint Howard, Jack Donner, and Vince Dedrick, he was one of only 5 actors to appear in both the original series and Enterprise. He, Barrett, and Howard also appeared in Deep Space Nine. Jonathan Frakes also appeared in 4 series, all but the original series because he was too young. Ruskin also worked on 2 Star Trek video games, lending his voice to Master Satan in Hidden Evil in 1999 and Admiral Notai and Vulcan Master Nikal in Star Trek Away Team in 2001. He did not lend his voice to Star Trek Online. He didn't think it was canon. Okay. Phil Morris and Armin Shimmerman both appear in Seinfeld in the episode The Caddy, which aired, guess what, the same year as this episode.
Wow.
The Caddy, which one's that?
That's the one where Kramer's golfing and
there's a few episodes where he's golfing.
The Caddy is Armin Shimmerman. I never put that together that he actually...
Oh yeah, it is Armin Shimmerman. He's the Caddy.
Yeah.
With the hat.
Yeah.
All right.
I never put that together that was him. I knew Jackie Childs. I knew Phil Morris was on Seinfeld, but okay. With this episode, Worf and Jadzia Dax are officially established as a couple due to their finally engaging in the violent Klingon mating ritual. Dax admits she was the initiator.
She was the aggressor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and a couple more. Armin Shimmerman did many of his own stunts during the fight scene. He practiced at home for 10 days prior to the shoot scene, and according to Shimmerman, I got pretty good with the Batliff, actually. Shimmerman also worked with a mime artist to help him make it look as if the Batliff had a mind of its own at the end of the fight.
The movement would not have hurt if you were in better physical condition.
Right. Quark is normally the only Ferengi character who doesn't wear the traditional Ferengi headdress covering the lower back of the head. Here, he exceptionally wears it to cover up the electronic device that transmits Worf's movements to him.
Yeah, normally he never has it. That's right. And then you never see it with him with it after this either.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that's it. That's all we got up there for.
Well, that was fun. Okay. All right. Well, I hope that got you in a good mood, Jeff. Because we're moving over to ratings. Davin never got back to us, but we're gonna break this down. Okay, Jeff, you want to give us the first rating of tonight?
I'm like a 6 on this one.
Wow. I would have given it above 10 if I could have, and any criticisms I might have with it are outweighed. But I liked it even more than the ship. But even though I thought that was a pretty fantastic episode. Jaemeel.
Yep. My rating is, and I debated over this. I was even like recalling in my mind this episode. As you saw, I was deep in thought. I will have to go with a 9.8, which is probably one of the highest ratings I've ever given an episode.
I'm glad I'm here to balance this out.
you all like I as you can tell from the beginning of the episode, you all convinced me. You were right.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Ashley gave this a 10, and Kevin is also a 10.
Well, okay. 10's like coming back down a little bit.
Come on, bring it back to 9.8. Let's temper things here. We'll find out what Davin gives this. If he's more, maybe he's somewhere between Jeff and the rest of us. I don't know, but the rest of us like this pretty good. It's a 9.2. Jeff, this is tied right now with Apocalypse Rising.
Perfect.
And that's got to be up there. So and season 5 continues to be a strong season.
Yes, it's definitely a strong season. This is a bit of a low point for me. But you know what? Next week, I think we're gonna move back on up. We have
low point. It's a low point for you.
It's just I don't care about these episodes. I don't care about their wedding. I'm not a fan of these Dax.
What are you giving higher than a 6? I gotta find something on here that is not worthy.
Little Green Men. That's a better
dispute it.
Like 10. You gave Heart of Stone a 7.5.
Yeah, you gave it an 8.
Well, I thought it was not. But imagine I gave it a 10.
You guys just love this episode because you love the relationship.
I don't know
more than anything.
I like the modern retelling or the futuristic retelling of Can't Buy Me Love.
Right.
Jeff, this is a Ronald D. Moore script.
Oh, hey.
And-
I don't think you could have.
He's already given his rating, Dave.
all right, it's in stone. And I'm just going to say that, Jeff, we were saying that this would make a perfect radio theater. What you think?
It could very well.
All right, he's not disputing that.
I just think it's I take it. I don't think this episode does much for the plot other than the Worf and Dax relationship. It's another insignificant Quark episode. I find most of the time, like Quark, just like he never really seems to be involved in a lot of like plot-driven things. It's always like side, That's
Dave,
I don't know.
think you found your Cisco for this episode.
Yeah, did I?
Yeah, Jeff. Let Jeff play Cisco in this episode.
Yeah, you can just be like, "Is that contagious? I'm out of here."
Perfect.
Come on. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay, I just wanted to pull this up. So, Jeff, do you know what comes after this?
Yeah, I just had it. It is Nor the Battle to the Strong. And what episode is this? I think it's a Akira episode, I think. No, it's a Bashir episode.
It's it's this one where they're on the planet and the Klingon War is happening.
And, this is the good one.
Yeah.
It's Jake. Jake Cisco, remember me?
I do remember you, Jake, and you will be a breath of fresh air this episode. Jake, I know I've never said that before ever on this podcast. Jake and a Bashir episode, exactly what I was looking for, exactly what I need after this episode.
Now, Jeff, are you still contending with the theory that this is the changeling Bashir?
Yes. I think
even after this episode, you felt like this was the changeling Bashir.
Yeah, I think it is the entire time.
And next week, when it's in that episode with the Klingon War and everything else, and Jake and everything else, you think that's still the changeling Bashir?
I do.
You're wrong.
Just terrible listening in, to people arguing at doors. Bashir thinks Bashir is supposedly.
I think it is. I just think you just have to watch his like demeanor and his expressions, and like I find he's very, very different up until we find the reveal out. He's like, I don't know. I get a vibe from him that it's not the real Bashir, and then there's a reveal that it isn't. What more proof do you need?
Serves you right.
That's right.
All right. All right, Jeff. Well, I think that's the ratings. I think that's the fun facts. I think we've talked about the episode. I'm going to plug some things while we're here. On Monday nights, we talk about Star Trek Enterprise, as we alluded to a few different times. It's full of unfinished storylines, as Jeremy pointed out, and we're gonna explore them all over on Monday nights with Jody Simpson, Adam Woodward, Kevin Millard, and myself. And like I'm always like, Jody, why don't they know what they're doing? He's like, this is the first ship, Dave. They haven't learned anything yet. And I'm like, but that doesn't mean they can't have common sense. And he's like, no, Dave, they don't know yet. They haven't discovered like how to like have sense yet. They haven't been out here in space. I'm like, they could have anticipated.
They have Archer for a captain, Dave. What more? Like they don't have sense or common or anything.
I suppose you're right. Anyway, so if you want to hear about me and Jody and Adam and Kevin talk that over every Monday night, check that out. Enterprise at 8. Plus we have here at D-Space 9 at 9-ish. And on Thursdays, we've been covering all the new Star Trek for some time because there's always a new Star Trek episode most weeks. Now that we're in 2022, we're continuing with Star Trek Prodigy as they have had the whole second block of their first season. That's coming to an end this Thursday. And then there's going to be a third block of first season episodes much later in the year. When that goes on hiatus, we'll be covering Star Trek Discovery. But this week, as mentioned, it is the A Moral Star Part 2 on Star Trek Prodigy. I'll be covering that with Davin Scalehorn and I hope with Jessica Chant as well, as her and Michael just had a baby. Happy Chinese New Year, by the way, out there today. And I think it's Year of the Tiger. And what else? Star Trek Discovery next week, because that will be picking up its 4th season again. And we also do a little thing here called Star Trek Radio Theater, where we do like the script reads, as we were mentioning, like maybe this episode we talked about tonight would make a great Star Trek Radio Theater. We just did Star Trek First Contact at the end of December. There's an edited version you can listen to on our YouTube channel, along with a bunch of other of our past episodes, edited and live versions alike, that you can check out. Also, we have 2 other channels. One's called Trivial Debates, a monthly show where we argue about movies, TV, sports, and more in like a game show format. This Sunday will be our season 5 premiere. We got Davin Skelwar hosting. I'm competing. There's going to be Chris Seymour and Adam Woodward in there. We're going to be talking about what's the best movie monologue, what TV series best defined its decade or its era, and much more. A lot of exciting questions and debates we're going to go over, and the points don't matter. Plus, tomorrow night here on Super Mario Brothers Podcasting, we will be covering the premiere of Big Brother Celebrity 3. Jaemeel Robinson and I just did a cast preview the other night over there, breaking all that down in our draft results from our draft. We got this guy from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. We got Chris Kattan from SNL. We got this guy from NSYNC. We got this one. She's a Real Housewife from Atlanta or something. We got Lamar Odom from the Lakers. We got Misha Cupcake Tate, who was a UFC fighter. We got, what's her name? Mariah, the figure skater, U.S. figure skater. We got this one, Shanna Mokler. She's another, what's her claim?
Miss America, and also she's a Playboy bunny. And she was married to the current husband of Khloe Kardashian.
Oh, okay, there you go. And Jeff, she was in a relationship with a Hell's Angels guy for 5 years, most recently breaking up in 2019.
And so, Billy Idol. And Dennis Quaid.
And Dennis Quaid. Oh, she's had some romances. She's been around.
The stories she can tell.
Yes. We got Teddy Mellencamp, John Mellencamp's daughter. And we got the Willis from what's it called? Different Strokes.
Different Strokes, different.
Isn't that
different Strokes, different. He's what Willis was talking about.
He's like, what are you talking about, Willis? He's Willis.
Yes, he's Willis.
Oh, he's Willis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Todd Bridges, is that his name?
Todd Bridges.
And we also got this guy who Jeff drafted.
Oh, this is who I drafted.
Yikes.
Podrick Hall.
Yikes.
That's it.
Somebody.
Who is he?
I don't know.
Yikes.
Anyway, so that starts tomorrow night, and we'll be covering that on our Super Mario Brothers Podcasting for the month of February. A bunch of episodes. We talked about Survivor in the past. We'll be doing the new Survivor when that comes out in March as well. Big Brother Canada coming up on the horizon. Big Brother USA, and we also Jeff and I talked about Ozark over there as that season 4 got kicked off with their first 7 episodes. We were talking about all of those episodes, plus just kind of like the show in general, and what we had never had podcasted about that show before. I think Jeff, Westworld season 4, I guess, will be on the horizon as well.
What's that coming back? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they were going to take like 5 years to make that next season.
Westworld. We'll get a Westworld.
Right.
So check out Davin Skelhorn's podcast. He's got Locutors of Trek. That's his Star Trek podcast. And he's got X-Men X-Rated podcast where he talks about X-Men, the animated series. Check that out. Eamon Mader's podcast. Let's talk about fighting games, where he talks about fighting video games as under his alias, Sam Jerka. Got episodes out there. Check those out. All right, Jeff, what do you say?
I say, sorry, I missed it, but I was looking for...
I'm okay with it. You weren't so high on this episode.
I was looking for Parmok in all the wrong places, or maybe all the right places. But we asked you to... In my dreams, in La La Land. But I ask you to join us next week where we cover a good episode. A Bashir Jake episode.
Hater.
Hate. Yes, so that's it for this week, though. But join us next Tuesday, where I will promise not to be asleep.
All right.
Promises.
Okay, take us away, Goldacott.
I've enjoyed your company as always, but it appears that it's time we said